We're gonna do a California native tree tier list. Um, these are some native trees in California. I'm gonna rate my favorites from best S tier to worst D tier. Um, just my personal opinion. There is no science behind this. That said, I am a certified arborist. Been working with trees around 10 years at this point. Um, that said, I wouldn't put much stock into my opinion. Up first, we have the arroyo willow. Uh, this king right here is providing critical habitat in the understory of riparian areas. The flowers and fruits of its catkins also feed the species that like to habitat within its understory. A tier. Up next, we have the black walnut. This tree can compartmentalize better than a millennial with trauma. S tier. We're going to go to the blue elderberry. Now, this is a culturally relevant tree. Most of us associate Native American music with drums, uh, but in Northern California, many of the tribes use the elderberry sticks to create a percussive sound for their music. On top of that, those berries have been sustaining Native tribes for thousands of years. S tier. Up next, we have the California buckeye. That's right. Suck it, Ohio. You're not the only one with them. This is a cool tree, cool canopy, mostly Northern California tree. A tier. Coming up next, we've got the coastal redwood. Uh, Fun fact, this is going to be full of those. Uh, this species hosts the tallest tree in the world, Hyperion, but good luck finding it. Its location is guarded more secretly than the recipe to coke. S tier. Next tree we're going to do is the Fremont's cottonwood, Populus fremonti. That's one of the few Latin names I know. This is a fast grower. Uh, really loves its water though, so mostly found in riparian areas or areas with lots of water. It's great for establishing a habitat if you're doing some kind of habitat restoration or trying to restore a floodplain. Great tree. When it dies, it has the courtesy to fall apart slowly rather than fail completely. Overall, A tier. And up next, we have the coulter pine. This tree ranges mostly through Southern California and northern Mexico. This tree boasts the largest pine cone of any pine. One of these is big enough to Baja Blast your head open. A tier. Alrighty. Coming up after the coulter pine, the king of Christmas, we have the Doug fir. Uh, we've all seen this tree. We've been all Christmas lots. California native. I hate Christmas though. B tier. Okay. What? That mistook that one. That's a California sycamore. It's hard to tell from the thumbnails. This is the Fremont's cottonwood. Alrighty. Up next, we have the Pseudosequoia giganteum. I probably butchered that. This is an awesome tree. This is the largest tree in the world. General Sherman, Shermanating the mountainside. Giant sequoias, S tier. If you haven't gone to see them, see them. You'll feel like you're on an alien planet. This tree is huge, and not like oh that's a big tree. Like Wookiees could live in this tree big. Alrighty. Next tree we're gonna do is the interior live oak. This is kind of one of the smaller oaks. Doesn't get huge like your valley oaks, but doesn't have like weird debris like some other oaks have. This is just a good around stable tree. Also, it's what my hometown's named after. S tier. All right. Up next, the Modesto ash, also known as the Arizona ash. This piece of shit tree is planted in suburbs all over Northern California. Doesn't make sense. It's not a Northern California tree. It falls apart after 40 years. Even millennials have more vitality than that. D tier. Up next, Modesto ash's cousin, Oregon ash. This homie can live 250 to 500 years. It's stable. Definitely not a millennial. Great in forests and countrysides alike. A tier. Coming up next is the sandbar willow. Like the arroyo willow, riparian areas, fills the understory, critical habitat, great for habitat restoration. If you've been in a floodplain, you've seen this tree. If you've been dove hunting, you've hid behind one. A tier. Coming up next, we have the sugar pine. This tree has the longest pine cone of any pine species. It's also the tallest pine. It's well endowed in both areas. That said, not as cool as Coulter pine or the Great Pine, which can take you out. Just kidding. This one can. Squirrels have definitely tried to take me out while evaluating trees before. Anyone who's worked in the national or state park has seen these rain from the above and try and take you out. A tier. Coming up next, we have the Tecate cypress. Now, this metal tree needs fire to reproduce. Well, not reproduce, but propagate. Too much fire is bad, but this is drought resistant. Likes a little fire, likes a little rough. A tier. Well, I mean, the only thing I can say about the Tecate cypress is I wish we had more. Um, Torrey pine. This tree is as finicky as the La Jollans who love it. This is the token tree of La Jolla. Uh, don't touch these trees. In fact, don't look at them. Some La Jolla will get mad at you, and we really don't need to give them more reasons to get mad at you. B tier. Coming up next, the valley oak. This tree loves thick soils. It's all over the Sacramento Valley. It's kind of can be found all over through California. If you go to my hometown, Live Oak, there's a giant one in the middle of the town. Don't ask me why. It's a valley oak that we kind of centered the town around, not a live oak. But this tree's beautiful. It's my favorite tree. S tier. Uh, Coming up next, we're gonna do the California sycamore. This one isn't the sycamore you usually see on the street. Those are often American sycamores or plane trees. These have deeply lobed leaves with kind of like almost a velvety looking and feeling covering to them. Uh, these things break out more than a teenager. If you're under one, don't do that for long because that tree can take you out at any time. Uh, Good thing about that though is these trees provide a lot of critical habitat species in the valley and riparian areas. Those breakouts often create cavities that awesome things like owls like to nest in and create a home. A tier. Up next, we got Western Redbud. This likes wetter areas. Too many people try to plant them in residential areas in SoCal. That's not their thing. They're a little too finicky, but they're pretty. B tier. Last up, we have something we've all seen around here in Southern California, and sometimes in Northern California, it's California pepper. Fun fact about this piece of shit tree, it's Peruvian, it's not California. This fucking imposter doesn't even make the list. Uh, Hope you enjoyed it. Those are some of my favorite trees and least favorite trees in California. If there's any of yours that didn't want to make the list, too bad. I'm not doing this again.